I've got an apron on. Now I'm a professional. Okay. Today is going to be sort of more of a class, if you will, than just a recipe. In today's fast food industry, everything is quick and serve it up as fast as possible. It doesn't matter what you call it. Like nachos, for instance. Today, original nachos was your chips, you had your stuff, and you hand mixed everything over the family table. Then you got into ballpark nachos, theater nachos, which was basically a handful of chips, fake hot cheese squished all over the top, whatever, and boom, there you go. Next. I was at a little food thing where they do the food carts and stuff, and they were serving American Frito Pie. And I've seen this done a lot. I've even seen it done on military bases, which just... See the eye twitch? Okay? Which is, they would take a thing of Fritos, throw it into a thing, pour some chili over the top, throw some cheese on it, and there's your Frito Pie. First of all, the very concept is incorrect. A pie is something that you bake. So if it was called Frito Pie, and you're throwing some chips, a little chili, and some cheese on it, how could that be anything similar to something that you baked? It has been an evolution of a fast way to serve something. Cooking, a lot of cooking is about flavor, about texture, about the way that one thing blends into another. And you can get all your recipes down and so on, but if you don't get those aspects correct, you're not really cooking, you're just following a set of instructions, at least in my opinion. Today we're going to cover the way my grandmother, my mother, and so on taught me to make Frito Pie. And it was the way that my mother's grandmother, my great-grandmother taught my grandmother. And this is the way it was done, at least in Texas for a long time, until everything became industrialized, fast. Give it to me now. I want to place my order. Why is my Amazon not here? It's supposed to be 24-hour service. So today we're going to make a more traditional Frito Pie. First, I have my oven currently preheating to 150 Celsius. Again, you got to do the changes in your kitchen pertaining to your oven, your altitude, if you're using Fahrenheit or whatever. Chili. I normally make my own chili. However, there's certain recipes that I do like to use particular things for. And one of those is my Frito Pie. And my preferred chili for a lot of my recipes is Wolf Brand chili, no beans. It's a matter, again, we get back to texture, flavor, and so on. So, as you see, we're using very precise measurements here. High-grade measuring equipment, because, I mean, that's what recipes are, right? Everything's pre-measured. Hot water. Ooh, a little too hot, actually. I see the steam coming off of that. I need to tone that down before I put my hand on it. There we go. This is about a half a can. You can put your hand over it, because I use one that lifts the lids, it doesn't cut the lid. I can put that back on, squeeze it very tightly. That was a half. I'm going to put another half in there. Boom. Also, it cleans your can out really quick. Be careful, hot water will burn you. I know that's a weird concept, that hot water will burn. I've seen lots of people go, oh, my coffee's hot, it burned me. Oh, the water was hot, it burned me. Of course it did. That's why it's hot. That's what hot water does. Now, I like making, when I do this, I like making a large batch. Then I will cut it into portions. And again, half a can. That's a half a can after I tone the water down. That thing gets it really hot. Be careful, you notice as I shake it up, it builds pressure and that'll want to squirt out. So if you do it this way, be careful or you'll have hot water and stuff squirting out. Then another, about half a can. I use hot water because it breaks everything down really nice. Now currently I've put 2 full cans in here. There's a reason. I really wanted to clean those cans out for one thing. Each one should take about a can of water when doing this. So be aware of that. So we should put about 3 cans of water in here. But I'm noticing the stuff is coming out fairly thin for what I want. I can always add more water later if I need to. So for this, for my 3rd can, I'm simply going to use some of the warm water from here. So currently we have 3 cans of chili and 2 cans of water. Again, this is one of those eyeball recipes. For 1 can of chili, I normally use about 2/3 of a bag of Fritos. So for 3 cans of chili, we're going to use 2 bags of Fritos. And by a bag of Fritos, I mean a bag of Fritos. This is 11 ounces, okay? First, what we're going to do is we're going to crack it just enough so the air comes out. And then we're not going to like totally, but we're going to crack them up. We don't want to turn it into like flour, but we do want to turn it into fairly usable, get a handful here, particles. Okay? Not all of them are going to be crushed out, but you'll get the general idea. See here, just we want the chili to absorb into that Frito. And what I want is sort of a slushy, soupy texture. That. So we should not have to add any more water to this. That's stirred up really well. Now we're going to take our pot and we're going to fill this about a quarter full. Oh, darn, I almost forgot. I'm not making this for my wife today. My wife told me, make it for yourself. So I've got another ingredient that I use for me. Nice home-jarred jalapenos. Very well sealed, by the way. What we're going to do is drain this. We'll let that drain a little bit. Then we're going to take my little mixer chopper. We don't want to blend it, we want to chop it. Okay, and these are from 2020. Yeah, so these are already 4 years old. So they're not too stable to begin with. It won't take much. Remember, when handling peppers and so on, always wash your hands afterwards really well with soap. That pectin and juice gets into your hands, and you'll rub your eyes an hour later, and suddenly your eyes are burning. We're going to blend this up. As I was explaining in one of my videos, I've only got 3 plugs in this entire kitchen. It's really atrocious. One of them is always running the microwave, so I've got a plug over there and a plug back over here, and so I've got to run bloody extension cords around to get anything done. That's about all it should take. So glad when we get into the new house. The house design that I drew up has a minimum of 8 plugs along each wall. Minimum. Some walls where there's nothing going on will be even more.
Again, those perfect measurements. And we're going to add a little bit of McCormick taco seasoning. Again, God's, you know, those perfect measurements. Wrong side. That brought it about, so I figured about twice as much. So half more. Then to really kick it off a little bit, I'm going to add a little bit of chili powder. Again, the jalapenos, the chili powder, the taco, all of that is to my taste. If you were serving this to the general public, you would not put that stuff in there. It would just be the chili and the Fritos. Okay? And each time that you sampled it, you would use a different spoon. But this is all for me, so I can use the same spoon. We got the texture of that chopped chili pepper, the semi but not hard firmness of the now soaked Fritos, the spice between the chili pepper and the taco seasoning, which gives it that little bit of salt. Remember, there's a lot of salt in this already, so you want to try to avoid salt as much as possible. And now that we got a nice, that's got a nice kick to it. I like that. We're going to fill this 1/4. You notice now it's a bit firmer. That's because it's set here. We're going to fill this about 1/4 of the way. Level it. And then we're going to put a nice healthy layer of cheese over this. If you've ever made a lasagna, you'll notice the similarities. I want at least a 1/2 centimeter to almost 1 centimeter of cheese on this. Then I'm going to put another layer. That should bring it to about half full. Another layer of cheese. I'm not smashing it in, I'm just flattening it so all the cheese and everything is slightly compressed. And then we're going to put a lid on it. That's one. Whew. That's a lot of measuring spoons and measuring cups and stuff, I know. I hope you're able to keep pace of all those measurements. These two are going to go into the oven side by side. 150, I said? Yeah, 150 Celsius. It's going to cook for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. I have the lid on because the lids have a little hole to release moisture, but I don't want to dry it. I want it to soak and marinate as it cooks, and that cheese melts and blends with each layer. And it's now 5:30, so we'll give this about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll check it in 15. Depending on the consistency and so on, I'll decide to pull it or not. You really don't want to cook it more than 20 minutes, otherwise you're just going to wind up burning stuff. And let me get this cleaned up, and we'll be back when it's ready. So after about 15 minutes, you've got a smooth consistency. You can see everything's melting in. Now we need to get the liquid down. We had it covered so that it doesn't burn, scorch around the bottom and edges. Now we're going to take the lids off carefully. It's hot. We're going to leave it in for about another 10 minutes. So we have about 10 or 15 minutes of prep, a total of about 25 to say 30 to 40 minutes in the oven, 15 minutes and then another 10, so 25 minutes, and then we'll pull it out. And this is the end product after it is set and cooled down.